I do it too.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the AAT Sports Network, all about the Birds weekly report here on the AAT Sports Network, which is all authentic talk. I am Chip at Chip for the Birds, joined by Johnny U at Johnny U9322, and joined by one of the new co-hosts of the brand at Rewind CEO, Mike Bauer. What is up, my friend?
How you doing, Chip? Thank you guys for having me here.
Yeah.
So I did there. I just dropped news right away, like one of the new co-hosts of the brand dropped it right away. Bam.
And we also have news at the end of the show. So
indeedly do. So it's very, very exciting. Adam, what is up? It was good to see you again on this past Sunday, sir. Real quick, let's just pay the bills, and then we'll get into what this night is going to be about. So we have a lot of fantastic, amazing, wonderful, great sponsors, including Statement Games, a fun, free twist on fantasy sports. I get some advice from them, and I get a lot of advice from Mike. And my fantasy teams are still terrible because I can't pick shit. So we move on. We are also sponsored by oddsjam.com. You can use their arbitrage calculator to not lose money. We are sponsored by La Terrain Luxury Watches. Use the code AATBIRDS at checkout for 10% off. We, of course, have the AATsportsnetwork.com/shop where you can get all kinds of great, wonderful materials. And our very favorite, manscaped.com.
Your balls will thank you.
Is partnered with AAT Birds. Use the code AAT Birds for 20% off and free shipping at checkout. Yeah. Mike, how was that for microphone skills there?
Makes me tingle a little bit every time you do it, but I'm not going to lie.
So we are going to be joined in just a little bit by Dave Birkett, who is a Lions beat writer from the Detroit Free Press. But he's not here yet. And, you know, I feel like that actually is an okay thing because, Mike, Johnny, I got to tell you, right now I hate being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I think that's the only way I can say it. This team is so grossly unprepared on a weekly basis that it is no longer enjoyable to watch this team. Mike, I'm going to start with you because I know happy-go-lucky Johnny has some positivity thoughts, and I'm not ready for them yet. Mike, what was your take on this game this past Sunday?
Well, I wanted to verify, so I just brought up the box score here, and my takeaway is apparently we go as Ryan Kerrigan goes, because when he gets a tackle, we win, and I'm looking at the box score, nothing. Just nothing. And so
But he didn't get a tackle in the Atlanta game, so...
Yeah, well, I don't know. But, but he did play 20% of the defensive snaps on Sunday. Yeah, which is actually so his snap count is decreasing every week. The high of it was in Atlanta, though, 49. Every week it's gone down 49, 46, 36, 33, 30, 21, and 20. So at least John Ginn's making one adjustment there and getting this guy off the field. But yeah, Chip, it's hard being an Eagles fan right now. I'm almost ready for the season to just be over. I did see a stat, and I tried to find it again, so my bad. I believe it says if the Eagles lose this week and the Dolphins lose to the Bills, they will almost have pretty much locked up the number 1 seed, which I don't know how, because the Lions are 0-7 and the Jaguars only have 1 win. But
because we'd have to have lost to the Lions head-to-head this week to make that stat work.
the Jaguars still only have 1 win.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't know.
so-
It doesn't make any sense because maybe for this week, but no,
Yeah.
they still have 1 win, so it doesn't make.
I don't know, but
Miami probably would have the number 1 pick. That's probably what they're probably getting at.
okay, but let me ask you this: are we trusting Howie to do anything?
No,
He's gotta go,
absolutely
right?
not.
Did you see what one of the former Eagles players say? I think it was Emmanuel Acho, something like that.
Yeah, well, Emmanuel is not making the greatest takes right now. I really like Emmanuel Acho. I think that a lot of his takes right now aren't the greatest. Like, oh, well, everything was just toxic with Carson Wentz. Well, Carson Wentz also struggled here because of a lot of reasons. Like, mentally, he wasn't ready for this town.
ESPN is, in Fox Sports, where all those shows, whatever, they just want to give the stupidest opinion to then get clicks. And it's basically like, I don't know where it was. It must have been Fox, because Chris Broussard was talking about the Monday night, the Bills-Titans game. And he was talking about Taylor Lewan being on the Bills, and they had the backup left tackle. And he was saying all the wrong names, and it was just one of the worst. I think a former NFL player actually retweeted it, and that's how I saw it, and it was awful. And I think a lot of those, they just say something to get a rise out of a fan base. They know if they say something about the Eagles, they're going to get a rise out of a lot of people, because the fan base, it's Philadelphia. So
For sure.
I think that's a lot. Some of them have some good takes, but a lot of it recently have just been a lot of clickbait type of material.
So, okay. And again, I do always like to say this as a reminder. Look, comments on Twitter are still not working. So if you want to get in on the conversation, make sure you're watching on Facebook and or YouTube to comment in. So keep that in your mind. Johnny, real quick, before we bring Dave on, because I see him waiting, I want to make sure he's all set up. Johnny, your thoughts on the Raiders game from last week?
It was so frustrating to watch the way they started the game, and then they got the turnover. It just, the Miles Sanders injury really hurt, but they're just a bad football team. They played awful, and the defense, 91% completion percentage for Derek Carr. The offense could have moved the ball a lot more, but it's just the defense could not stop anybody. And then the onside kick, in desperation, it seemed to start the second half, that they looked like Jake Elliott could have did something there, but he slid a little too early. So, it is so frustrating because, you're playing a Raiders team who is in first place in their division, but the way that game started, you thought. But again, look at the last 2 seasons. What if you can name? You watch all their wins. Maybe the only one that was fun was Atlanta this year. Otherwise, it's just been, every single game, and it's frustrating as an Eagles fan right now. And then you have the Lions coming in, and they're 0-7, but they're a gritty football team.
They are.
And then speaking of the Lions, speaking of coming in, it is now time to add our special guest for the evening. I'm adding now to the stream, ready with a magical touch here. Pow. I'm adding Dave Birkett. Dave, what is going on, my friend? How are you this fine evening?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Living the dream. So Dave is a Lions beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. He is a three-time, sorry, I had to do it, Michigan Sports Writer of the Year winner. And he was named one of America's top 10 beat writers in 2017, and he's an NFL Hall of Fame voter. So you're quite a fancy man, my friend.
My mom must have shared the resume with you guys, huh? That's
We have guys. Yeah, we basically got a snapshot of Mom's refrigerator and all of your highlights all over there. It was great. So first off, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you giving us some time. And I think we want to jump right into it. So we've been doing this weekly session with on our Wednesday night show where we bring on a opposing writer or podcaster, and they talk about what we should know about their team, and we make some predictions, and you let us know how things have been going for your team. So your record states that you're 0-7. But explain to me why the record is not indicative of who your team actually is.
No, I mean, I think it is indicative of who they are.
Oh.
Actually, they're just not a good team. They're one of the handful of worst teams in the NFL right now. And look, they play hard, and I think Dan Campbell is doing some good things, and Brad Holmes, the general manager, but they're really young and really thin and not very good. I mean, they just don't have offensively, especially. They don't have a lot of weapons. They don't have a lot of guys that the opposing defense looks at and says, that's a guy that we got to stop, or he could hand us our lunch. And really, when you get beyond DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson, that about sums up the Lions offense right now. So, look, I don't know that the Lions are the worst team in the NFL. I think they probably beat the Texans and the Jets and the Jaguars and a couple teams head to head, and maybe they win this week. But they're certainly in that discussion.
Now, you talked about thin. Now, the secondary is very thin, and they've had some injuries. What's the status on the secondary right now? Because I know they have Amani Warrior and they have Jerry Jacobs, but after that, what do they really have?
Yeah, no, they're if you guys have any eligibility left, they'd be looking at you right now. They, they lost Jeff Okudah, one of their starters. Fatu Melifonwu, his backup went down. He's been out since week 2. AJ Price, their slot cornerback, he got hurt this week. Dan Campbell said today that there's a chance that he could play this week. But if not, early in the year, they were using Bobby Price, who, converted from safety to cornerback this summer as a starter. And if AJ Price is out, Bobby Price might be on the field again. So extremely thin back there. They've gotten some good play from, some of the rookies. Like, you'll watch them and Jerry Jacobs, an undrafted rookie, and AJ Parker, another undrafted rookie. You'll watch them and you'll say, hey, man, those guys might be players in time. They, they can hold their own, but it's just, they make a mistake, and that's what kills them, right? One big coverage bust, and 40 yards later, the other team is scoring, and that's what seemed to hurt the Lions all year.
Yeah, because Darryl Worley was cut, and he was, covering Cooper Kupp last week, and he struggled, and he was let go early this week.
Yeah, and they re-signed him to the practice squad. Who knows if they may need him at some point in time? But if AJ Price is healthy, it's going to be Amani Warrior and Jerry Jacobs and AJ Price as their top 3 cornerbacks. AJ Parker, I'm sorry, I keep saying AJ Price. AJ Parker, and that's 2 undrafted rookies of your top 3 cornerbacks right there. And they are getting some good play from Tracy Walker at safety. He's had a little bit of a bounce back year, but just in general, they're very thin, and those mistakes that the young guys make, they come back to haunt them every week.
Now, my next question does talk a little bit about the coaching staff, because both of our teams got some news early on with our new coaches. Ours because he wasn't able to string together a couple sentences in his opening press conference, and let's be honest, he really hasn't yet. Yours because Coach Campbell decided to threaten kneecaps and things of the like in his opening press conference. So what's the feel in Detroit? Like, do they feel that Dan Campbell is the right guy moving forward? And how's our boy Deuce been working for you?
Yeah, look, I think, certainly there's pockets of fans that, are leery of Dan and what he's doing, and don't like, some of the I hesitate to call them antics, but the sideshow, I guess, that's come along with him. But I'll tell you what, man, most people like him, and most people understand that's legitimately who he is. Like, what you see from Dan Campbell on the podium at the press conference is the same as what Dan Campbell is behind closed doors, and that goes a long way in the NFL. That goes a long way with professionals, right? Somebody that's going to shoot you straight and be honest with you, good or bad. And he's passionate for sure, and I think that resonates with a lot of fans out here, and frankly, it resonates with players. I mean, we saw him, cry after they lost to the Minnesota Vikings a couple of weeks ago, and really people look at that and they say, man, that guy cares, my coach cares, and they want to win for him. And I think that's part of the reason why you see, even though they're not very good and they've lost all these games, why they're taking the Rams to the end, and why they play their best half of the season against the Green Bay Packers, and why they lose on 2, historic field goals, one historic one and one, career long. So I think, Dan has done some good things. to give his team a chance, but they're just shorthanded talent-wise right now. As for Deuce, look, the Lions' best player right now is DeAndre Swift, and so Deuce Staley certainly plays a part in that. I know Deuce is, he took this job because he wants to be a head coach someday, and Dan's given him some of those responsibilities, talking with us every week and handling some things behind closed doors. And so, hopefully for his sake, he gets that chance.
Do you know if he still has his house in Philly? Because if so, we'd love to have him back. Dave, I'm kind of looking at the depth chart for you guys.
He's got to win some games. They got to win some games here first, though. Otherwise, no one's hiring any of these assistants.
True.
That is true. You guys have a lot of youth on your team. Jared Goff's still pretty young. You go T.J. Hawkinson. Khalif Raymond is probably one of your older wide receivers, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas on the injured reserve currently. I'm just curious what the offensive thought is here for the Lions. Are they a piece away? Are they a quarterback away? And how do you think they're going to match up against the Eagles secondary? The Eagles will probably be playing on the other side of Detroit, the way they've been lining their safeties up. But what's the offensive feel for the Lions right now in town?
They are a passing game away. Let's put it like that. I mean, that's,
okay.
Really like all elements of it. They just don't throw downfield. They need a quarterback. I think, it's a young one to sort of build around. They have, if we're being honest, probably no receivers that will be with them when they start winning. So they just don't have, look, right now, TJ Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift are their two big weapons in the passing game. Last week, Khalif Raymond was the only receiver that caught more than one pass in the game. And the other guy that caught one, Kaderl Hodge, he got one on a bubble screen for 3 yards. So they have no vertical element to their passing game right now. And I think some of that is the receiving core. Some of that is Jared Goff and his tendencies. And some of it is probably, the Lions not doing enough to scheme their receivers open. So a lot to be desired there. They do have, they've fallen behind, so maybe the numbers don't show how good of a running team they are. But they're a very capable running team. Not great, but very capable. And, they do have a strong offensive line, though their two best offensive linemen are hurt and will not be playing this week.
So, I mean, that obviously helps out the Eagles. Your offseason was pretty interesting, where you traded a franchise staple in Stafford for a young and up-and-coming guy in Jared Goff. How do you feel, 7 weeks in, that trade has worked out? I'm not looking at wins and losses. Are they looking to build around Goff?
No, I mean, don't mistake it. The trade was not for Goff. It was for 2 first-round picks. That's what the trade was for, right? Goff is a placeholder, and, he's a guy that certainly there's some familiarity with Brad Holmes, the general manager. He's a guy that I think they thought would keep them out of this situation, right? Like he's a serviceable enough quarterback that you're going to win some games. You're not going to, you're not going to go over, the season. But I think anyone who watches Goff, and especially, someone in my position who's watched 10 years of Matthew Stafford and then to watch Goff, like the difference is pretty stark. And so, I don't think anyone should get too twisted and think that, the Lions are building behind Jared Goff. I think he can win some games. I think he's probably better than we've seen so far, surrounded by the right cast. But, as we saw in LA, Sean McVay could only cover for him so long. Now that he's not surrounded by, a whole cast of good players, we see them struggle a little bit.
So you're speaking about Goff and, his tendencies as a quarterback may fit into the type of defense the Eagles have been playing basically the whole season, but especially the last few weeks. Derek Carr went 91% completion percentage, able to, the Eagles play this passive type of zone defense. So to me, that fits in pretty well to what Detroit would like to do, because the Eagles' run defense isn't the greatest as well. So it could kind of fit into kind of them, bouncing, getting their first win. If you look at what they like to do. Now, of course, the Eagles could change it up, but if they don't, how do you think that fits into Goff and this Lions offense? If that's where the case, they play a lot of zone.
Yeah, I've wrestled with it a little bit, because I know obviously the Eagles' weakness right now is that defense, and the Lions' weakness is certainly their offense. Not that they're great defensively, but they haven't scored more than 19 points since week 1, so they're struggling to put points on the board. Part of it though is like with the Raiders, there are some players that you really have to respect, and I just don't see a lot of that in the Lions' passing game. Again, DeAndre Swift, he's coming out of the backfield, and he's had a nice season. but he's still a running back, right? He's not stretching the field. And so when you don't have to worry about that element, we've seen it all year where defenses are throwing 7, 8 in the box and, forcing the Lions to do something else. And they're incapable of doing it. And so that's why, Jared Goff he ranks last in the NFL and, air yards per attempt or completion, one of those stats. And, again, their receiving core, that unit, the receivers, not the tight ends and running backs, they just don't have a field stretching element right now.
So go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Chip.
No, you're good.
I have a question. This is more the defensive line. How do you think they're going to attack Jalen Hurts? Everything I've seen lately is if his pocket's not clean for more than 3 seconds, he's scrambling outside when he could just as easily step up. And one thing I also noticed, he doesn't throw his receivers open ever, from what I could tell. So do you think that this could be a good defensive matchup for you guys? I mean, you guys will hear my prediction for the game on Sunday. It's not optimistic. So I'm curious what Dave thinks here.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Lions defensively, it's sort of like offense where, they don't have any huge playmakers, especially with Romeo Okwara, their best defensive player, out for the year. He tore his Achilles tendon a few weeks ago. But, they have been able to generate some pass rush. Julian Okwara had a good game last week. They have some young defensive lineman draft picks, Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, who are, have shown some promise. So they have some players up front. I think ultimately look, last week against the Rams, really good offense, obviously. They couldn't get off the field against the Rams. I mean, that's why, the Lions ran 2 fake punts and a surprise onside kick, right? They had to sort of maximize their possessions to help that defense out because that defense isn't going to make a lot of plays and get them off the field. The defense is serviceable enough, and against an offense like Philadelphia's, I would expect they'd be able to hold their own. But it's just making sure that they limit, those big plays, that they do enough up front to help that young secondary out because those guys in the back end, that's really where the issues have been this year.
So as I look at a team, and again, I'm not a fan of the one and done coaching situation unless it's glaring. Right now, Dan Campbell he's got to be on the hot seat, right? He's got to be on the hot seat. Is there a number that he has to reach in order to keep his job? If he goes winless, will he get a second? Like, what is the feeling about him on the current trajectory that he is on?
No, he's not on the hot seat. I mean, look, everyone knew, right? I sat down with the owner last week, and she, for the very first time, anyone in this regime said, hey, we knew this was going to be a rebuild. Everyone here was sort of prepared, not for 0-17, and I don't think the Lions are going to go 0-17, but, they were prepared for this to be a really lean year. And so, yeah, people are frustrated and disappointed that they don't have a win, but there's no one is like, this regime can't do it, right? I just don't get that sense from anyone. I mean, look, there's some fans out there that I'm sure are saying that, and I do think they need to win a couple games just for, the sake of the faith that people would have in the coaching staff. But Dan Campbell is not on the hot seat whatsoever right now.
So for this matchup, the other thing, I want to, ask about Penei Sewell. So first round draft pick, how has he held up? I know they were playing him a couple different positions, but he's at left tackle right now because Taylor Decker is not back yet. I'm not sure when he's expected to be back. But how has he looked?
Yeah, so just so people know, I mean, Sewell practiced all training camp, all offseason at right tackle. He played left tackle at Oregon, but did not play last year. The plan was for him to be the right tackle and Taylor Decker to be the left tackle. Decker got hurt 3 days before the season opener. Hasn't played this year. They activated him off IR to practice, but he re-aggravated the hand injury, and so he might not be back all season. That's to be determined. They've got another week or so to figure that out, week and a half. Sewell's played left tackle all year, and frankly, he's looked pretty good. I mean, he had a couple, he had a few hiccups. There were back-to-back games. I think it was the Vikings and Bears where he gave up 4 sacks in those 2 games. But last week he held his own, and he was blocking Aaron Donald some. And you look at him, and you can certainly see he's 21 years old, just turned 21. You can look at him and say that guy's going to be a really good left tackle in time. He has some just like any young player would. He makes some mistakes, and he'll get his technique will get loose sometimes, and that'll cost him against really good pass rushers. But I think Penei Sewell will be a Pro Bowl offensive tackle, left tackle, in time. Really, the bigger question the Lions have is when Taylor Decker comes back, whenever that is, do they, bother moving Sewell back to right tackle, or do they make Decker the longstanding veteran do that?
I think your bigger question is going to be, is Holly Pulivati Vaitai your right guard of the future? Because he was not in our overall scheme of things here in Philadelphia.
I'm glad you can say his name because
we had to practice
a year and a half, and I just call him Hal. I call him Hal.
We used to call him Big V. So
yeah, Big V. Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody calls him. I don't know the contract off the top of my head. Going into this season, I thought for sure he'd be a cap casualty after this year. I know it's probably making more than most people would think would be worth it. I don't think he's going to be the guard of the future because they've paid their center, Frank Ragnow, who's a really good player. He's hurt and out for the year. They paid Taylor Decker. At some point, they're going to have to pay Penei Sewell and Jonah Jackson, their left guard, is a pretty good player too. And so, sorry about that. Dropped you guys there for a second. I was plugging in. I was running out of juice on my phone. But so, anyways, I don't think financially you can build your team like that where there's so much money sunk into that. Now Big V is having a better year this year than he did last year. He's bothered by a foot injury all last year. So he's had a little bit of a rebound year, and I certainly could see him coming back. Given the way that he's played in 2022, but long-term future, I don't know what it holds beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Look, it's very tough sitting here. We've done these weekly reports now. We've done these weekly eyes on the enemies, and it's tough because our Eagles aren't putting out a great product, and now we're having a conversation with you, and you're exceptionally knowledgeable, and you know the team, and you have the connections and the insight, but the product is not there. So my question, my final big question for you that I have is, how do you stay so professional when your product is just so subpar?
I like to tell people. I mean, again, I know my mom shared my resume with you guys, so you've probably seen it. But I covered Michigan State when John L. Smith was there. I covered 0-16. That was really my first full season on the beat. I was at a different paper then. Then I went to cover Michigan for a year when Rich Rodriguez was there. And then I came back in 2010. So I don't know if it's the Lions or if it's me. It might just be me. Very well could be. I've seen a lot of bad football in my years. And
yeah.
No, I mean, look, like I said, I think, I've said it like this before, right? That I do think they have the ship pointed in the right direction, right? Like I think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have done some good things, and they're doing it the right way where they are completely starting anew. This is not like a piecemeal, like one guy's ahead of the other and we're going to have to replace our quarterback 2 years from now. No, they need to do everything right now. And so they are very much starting from the ground floor. And I think there's something to be said about that. And everyone knows where they're at. They are pointed in the right direction, but they are in some choppy water right now, and there is some more choppy water ahead, and they got to get some pretty good players on board here, including a new quarterback, to help them navigate, this ocean that they're trying to overcome. That and part of it is their own history, and so they are a long way away. But I do think, for the first time in a while, that they are pointed in the right direction.
Well, we're going to need your official prediction for the game because we do a live show for away games, so we have to hold our predictions till Sunday. But we do need your official live prediction. We also do a segment on here called the Uleka Lock. That's for Johnny Uleka down at the bottom there. So just a prediction of something. It could be anything in the NFL that is going to happen this weekend for any game. So we need a prediction and a Uleka Lock before you head out of here.
Man, you're gonna have to give me some of the games that are going on this weekend outside the Thursday night game, and if this won't be running till Sunday, I don't want to predict that.
Do you want to talk about Bengals Jets?
Oh, you can talk Cardinals Packers, Falcons Panthers.
Right? Falcons Panthers. That's gross.
Titans Colts.
Kind of like this one. It's pretty.
Bills Dolphins.
Bills? Is that what you said?
Titans Colts. Dolphins Bills.
Hey, I'll give you one on Titans Colts. All right, Derrick
Okay.
Henry has been kicking everybody's butt, right? And I'm going against him in fantasy this week. So you can chalk him up for about 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know the Colts play good defense, but he's playing me in fantasy, and my luck, he's kicking my butt this week. So put him down for 150 and 2 touchdowns. So
Okay.
there you go. Look, as for Lions Eagles, now this may change a little bit because I haven't put it, in ink for the paper. But I am leaning towards picking the Lions. I just so for these purposes, I will pick the Lions. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. Because I don't think either team is very good, but the Lions are so desperate for a win right now, and they do play hard, and they have been in every game except for that one Bengals game. And I look at that as a little bit of an abnormality. I think they are the team that will scrap. And so at home before the bye week, sort of to get that good vibe going, I think the Lions, let's call it 23-17, somewhere in that neighborhood where maybe it's a fourth quarter touchdown that puts them ahead. And then, they get enough plays to hold that up.
All right. Well, Dave, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you spending some time with us this evening. Apparently commiserating with us because our misery it seems pretty even across the board.
If you're not a Lions fan or an Eagles fan, you probably ain't tuning into this game this week. That's right.
No. Yeah, this is definitely not a marquee matchup, which is why I'm surprised it's not on Thursday night because the Thursday night games have been terrible for the most part. But again, Dave, if you want to plug anything, if you want to tell people where they can find you, like I said, we appreciate you coming on. So,
yeah,
Dave, the floor is yours.
Guys, maybe we'll do it again when they, last team in each division plays. So these teams are probably playing again next year. But freak.com, hit me up on Twitter anytime at Dave Birkett. Happy to talk football or whatever else is out there, and happy to join you guys.
All right. So that's Dave Birkett from the Detroit Free Press. We appreciate you, my friend, and we're gonna keep it going and talk about all of our misery. But thank you, and we'll be in touch.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
So, all right, Dave gave a lot of great information, and the comments rolling in were great. Javier saying Detroit's in the perfect position to get the W for sure. A touchdown or a field goal. I mean, it's close. It's real close, and it's the Detroit Lions, guys. Why is it so close with the Detroit effing Lions?
So here's what I think the big key to this game is. I was just doing some research here. The Eagles linebacker core, I'm worried about Jamal Williams and I'm worried about DeAndre Swift. Dave was talking about how they don't really have a downfield passing game. I think we could cover up the downfield passing game against this team. Their best receiver on paper is Khalif Raymond, who on any other team, on this team would probably be like a 5th wide receiver practice squad guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4th rounder out of USC. Showed promise in camp, but so did Elijah Moore. So did a lot of people.
You told me to pick him on my fantasy team, and I had to cut him.
A deep stash. Okay. Listen,
right.
I started him in a bunch of spots last week, and I got screwed. If it makes you feel any better, but the real soft spot of this defense is the linebacker core. Just looking at, how we always talk about how our linebackers are getting pushed around. This is our linebacker core height wise, and I think the heaviest guy was like 252 pounds. 6'2", 6'1", 6'1", 6'0", 6'1", 6'1", 6'2", 6'1". So we have all these linebackers. Nobody's over 6'2". Nobody is strong enough to take on a lineman. Johnny, you're muted. We have a bunch of scrubs. Like, I saw an article, somebody might trade for one of these linebackers. Who's going to want to trade for one of these guys? Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift in the middle of the field. It's going to be a long day. A long day.
Now, my one thing I want to see is Jonathan Gannon going to play the defense he always plays, the 2 deep safety? Because right now, you look at this team, there's nobody that's going to stretch the field and beat you deep. Not like the Raiders were last week, like Dave was saying.
TJ Hawkinson can do it.
We can't beat tight ends, so.
Yeah, but
actually, that's not true.
That's not true. That's not true. You're right.
And Pitts in check, and Waller didn't play, so. But I will say they're against the tight ends. They've been pretty good, but Johnny does make a good point.
So, do they bring a safety down in the box to play? Maybe not down in the box, but down lower than near the end zone, basically.
Who?
It's how deep. I don't know, because we gotta see if Anthony Harris and his hands and groin are better. I don't know. We have to, see what's going on with that. Plus, also Kayvon Wallace. I'm not sure if he's going to be activated or what's going on with that as well. So
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Well, that's one thing I was going to bring up is our injury list is looking pretty much exactly like it does all the time right now.
The best thing that I saw though was
number one first name.
Yes,
JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He did not practice.
Someone said, "How did he get hurt? Would he fall off the bench?"
No, he blocked himself right into pain.
But
JJ Arcega-Whiteside, this is the teams who didn't practice today. Arcega-Whiteside, fine. Fletcher Cox, Hargrave, Harris, McPherson, Sanders, Smith, Anderson, Mr. Anderson, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, and Ryan Kerrigan.
What Ryan Kerrigan? Was he resting?
No, his groin hurts.
Yeah, he must be hanging out with Anthony Harris. But,
what's going on in that locker room, man?
I don't think Miles Sanders is out most likely 2 to 3 weeks.
He is.
I get, Adam brings up this comment with, Jordan Howard possibly coming up to be, possibly used. I
to me, it can't be possible. To me, it can't be possibly. It has to happen. Yeah. Look, I like Kenny Gainwell as a runner, as a stretch runner, as somebody who catches pass. He's a rookie. He cannot carry the ball directly into the line. He's not a power back. Boston Scott's nice, but he's little. I mean, you need somebody that can carry the chunk of the ball.
Like I said, I want to see what they did the beginning of last week's game.
Great.
Hurts under center to be able to do stuff like they need to incorporate that more in the offense. It's really not that hard. But again, we said this last year too, when the offense was looking very predictable and very vanilla and very bland. We said the same thing. So yeah, we can say these things and they can say them in their press conference. Oh, we should do this and we should feature this and do, but it's not going to happen. Now, against a team like Detroit, with, of course, their secondary is massively beaten up, what's going to wind up happening is
we'll commit to the run game with our backup running backs.
Or they're going to do a lot of RPOs and throwing the ball and trying to throw the ball and trying to do that because the Detroit secondary is so beat up. Like Dave was talking, if they don't have AJ Parker, who was injured, Daryl Worley is on the practice squad after he was cut. They do have Nickel Roby-Coleman on the practice squad. Maybe bring him up. Maybe
you shut your mouth.
Didn't they call him Slot God or something like that, or was that Will Parks?
I think that was Anthony Harris.
No, but it wasn't Slot.
Poor God.
Hey. All right. Hey.
Yeah, he was the one that called himself that.
Okay.
But
and he got cut.
That's the thing that they're gonna pass the ball, and I know it just because looking at this Detroit team and looking at Detroit linebackers too, Alex Anzalone and Anthony Pittman, and then Jalen Reeves-Maven. They're not hiding. They got rid of Jamie Collins because they want to take a look at the younger guys, which is, they're in a rebuilding, like, Dave mentioned. They are a rebuilding team, but, this is setting itself up to be one of those games.
So on Monday night, when I was making my picks with my wife, she was shocked. And I'm telling you, I am picking the Eagles, and I'll go into more detail later, on Sunday. But she was shocked by that because I haven't been picking the Eagles. And I said the only reason why is because the Detroit Lions are 0-7. But I am so on the fence about this. It's hard to say that there's a trap game for a 2-5 team. But this is a trap game.
Sorry, I was going to say that wasn't the first time she was shocked.
No. So there was some Eagles news. Let's go through the Eagles news. Rick Lovato was cut.
And then resigned. So that's the only Eagles news that's happened, right, Mike?
I believe Joe Flacco got traded.
Oh, yes. Joe Flacco did get traded. Dude, you want to talk about such things?
I do. This is important. Johnny's going to hate me for this, but this is important because here's why. Let's say Hurts is really falling on his face.
Hurts is really falling on his face. I said it.
In game. Well, we've seen it. You can't go to Joe Flacco. You know what you have with Joe Flacco. At the same point in time, Minshew hasn't dressed. And even if he did, I believe the rule could have changed. If you skip over your backup quarterback to your third string quarterback and he gets hurt, you cannot put your second string quarterback in.
No, I don't think you cannot.
Yeah. So this is one of those things. I believe so. Someone can fact check me or just take my word for it because I'm on the mic right now. But if you really want to see what you have with some of these guys and you have a struggling quarterback, how can you really look at what they're doing? You know what I mean? Like if you have a guy who's not putting the ball, like I said earlier, I don't see Jalen Hurts throwing guys open.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
If anything, he throws them covered.
And this is the problem I have with a guy who played at Alabama and Oklahoma. He should be pro ready, but he was used to throwing the guys who had nobody around him in 20 yards.
Like Tua.
The defensive backs are much better in the NFL. So this could be one of those things where if it gets bad, you know, and they're getting beat, you could see Gardner Minshew starting to take some snaps. And if this is an evaluation year, you have to evaluate everybody. Is there a possibility that Nick Sirianni puts this guy in to try to win some games and save his job? I mean, it's
so
you
can't.
possible,
Here's the
right?
thing: Jalen Hurts is not having a good season, but he's also playing to the capabilities of what he is as a quarterback. Right? He's a good leader. He's a great athlete. He's a mediocre arm. Right? He's a mediocre arm, which as a quarterback is still the number one thing you need. But if you look back, all the way back to Nick Sirianni's initial press conference, and I wrote about this in my post-game article, and I wrote about this today in my The Kids Can't Coach article. If you look back all the way to the original press conference, Nick Sirianni said, look, we have got to coach for the players that we have. We've got to find out what their strengths are, and that's going to be our scheme. It is the exact opposite of what they have done as a coaching staff. So think about it. Miles Sanders does well when he touches the ball. He has great yards per carry. What have they done? They have pulverized his attempts. Jalen Hurts is an athlete who needs to learn how to throw the ball better. So maybe you only have 25, 30 throws per game, but you call a lot of runs, you call a lot of options. Nope, he's got 50 throws per game. You have Kenny Gainwell, little guy running into the line. You've got Fletcher Cox as a spy on running backs rather than blitzing in. I mean, this is not what these guys are good at. You have Singleton covering guys in deep into the secondary. That's not what he does well. These guys are being coached to what he needs them to be rather than what they are capable of being.
Good point.
My only thing with the Fletcher Cox is you get paid to play football. And
Correct.
Seth Joyner said it perfectly when he had a little bit of a rant after the comments and everything, and he said they pay you to play, so whatever you're asked to do, that's what you're supposed to do. And yeah, if he doesn't believe in it, and him and Rodney McLeod are saying we're just playing what we're told, that's not really good. That's not good when you have two guys that usually they don't speak up like that. They don't.
The veteran
like
leadership in the locker room is already displeased.
So that's concerning. Like I said, I'm not going to, I was upset. I was angry, watching that game, watching that defense. I'm not going to give up on Jonathan Gannon. He still has the rest of the season to see kind of what he can do. But the problem is they don't have the players to succeed.
They don't.
They don't have this defense is the focal point of this type of defense are linebackers that can diagnose, that can hit the holes, that can cover, that can do a multitude of things, and they don't have one of them that can do that. They don't have any linebackers that can do that.
The only guy I think TJ Edwards is good at stopping the run. I mean, I'm looking at the list of
so Singleton.
I see Singleton get run over a lot though too.
Sometimes he chooses the wrong lane. The issue with Singleton is if he's there, he can make the stop, but the problem is it's getting there. And that's a big part of it. You have to be able to get there. And TJ Edwards, you look at the first play of the game, because I said it to you, Mike. I said, oh, look, TJ Edwards is in the game, like you said. And he hit the fullback up, and then someone else got and cleaned it up. They need big linebackers like that. They need somebody like that that can stop the run. But also, the Davion Taylor experiment and stuff like that, it's frustrating because you watch these games on Sunday and you see these linebackers taking. I'll just point out the games on Sunday night and Monday night. Sunday night, you have Darius Leonard and Bobby Okereke, and you have on the 49ers, you have Fred Warner.
Oh, Fred Warner.
Right there. absolute studs linebackers. And then on Monday night, Bobby Wagner is older, but he's still a good player. But also, you look on the Saints side, Demario Davis, unbelievable game. You need linebackers in this league. And that starts at the top, not drafting them.
I do like Davion Taylor. I'll say that he was overdrafted, probably.
Yeah, he was overdrafted, no doubt.
Early.
No doubt.
But he does have really good closing speed, though. So
He's got to stay healthy.
He does. I mean, I will say that about Davion Taylor. He's a guy, I think you could throw him out there in coverage on like a smaller running back.
Right.
And not on a tight end. If he was playing against the Eagles, I would be comfortable with him covering Kenneth Gainwell, because I think he has the speed to keep up with him, and he's not good at catching the ball, so he can at least swat it down. And he's a okay-ish tackler, but he's just still so raw.
So we're talking about all the holes and all the weaknesses, so let's have this conversation. Trade deadline is on Tuesday.
Ooh.
Obviously, the Eagles are not buyers at the trade deadline. Let me rephrase that. I can't imagine that the Eagles would be buyers at the trade deadline, because
a buyer to me would be you getting an expiring contract, like when they got Golden Tate and stuff like that. They're not in position to do that whatsoever, and we all know that. Now, if it's a player that has another year or two left on their contract, it's a different story. But I saw a report from, I guess, Jeremy Fowler that people are calling Eagles about Andre Dillard. And he mentioned, which was interesting, he mentioned AFC North teams. I could think of two right away in Cleveland and Baltimore looking for tackle help.
Yeah.
If they call and they offer you, even a 4th round pick, and I know he's a 1st round pick.
Anything.
You have to take it. You're trying to build up assets. Looking into the draft next year and looking into free agency next year, it is huge. Those two things coming up, especially when you're trying to retool, rebuild this team. I could see him being one to go.
Here's something I watched about Andre Dillard before you get to the continuing your trade list here. And tell me if you guys have seen the same thing with Andre Dillard, because I am one of the biggest people to rag on this kid. I think that he's not good. And the more he puts on film, the lower his value goes. But the couple games that he played pretty well. It's when he goes into a game when he's not planning to be the starter, he struggles so significantly. Is he just the kind of guy who can't focus if he's not prepared to be the starter for a week? Because he went into that Raiders game and got torched.
True.
He's just not. I don't have an answer for that. It's a good point. It's something that I really didn't think about. But it is definitely something, if you really look back and you really think about the games that he came in, you can really start pinpointing, saying, okay,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I came to that realization last night when I was on a different podcast, and I went, wait a second. So, it's only when he comes into games.
Yeah. But he could definitely be a guy that gets moved. I know that the Joe Flacco trade, I don't know what the conditions are of the trade, but I guess if you have, we have to send
a thank you note. That's the condition.
I do. It's actually that's actually Tampa Bay's 6th round pick, so it's not going to be a good pick. Nope. He's going to have to play a lot, I believe, and I think it's about starts, and then that will turn into the Jets' 5th round pick. I don't know the exact, so that's some, but the Jets have already named Mike White the starter for this week. So if it's about
starts, that's because he's got to get in and learn. Because remember, it's not the same offense that he just got out of.
This is true.
So he's got to learn. But I expect that even when Zach Wilson's been terrible this season, he has been god awful. So it might be Mike White can start this week, and then Flacco starts the rest of the way while Wilson relearns how to play quarterback.
But like I said, there's a couple other names, two or three other names. Steven Nelson, a team that needs cornerback depth. That could be a possibility. I don't think Derek Barnett's going to be an option. I'm looking a little bit also towards the cap ramifications too. You're not going to just trade a guy and not gain any cap with what the Eagles are wanting to do. And then would it be surprising to you if you had a struggling player or a player in a doghouse trade for a struggling player? I saw something that I know Mike would literally probably jump for joy if this were to happen. But what about San Francisco Brandon Ayuk for Jalen Reagor.
Ooh.
I saw
Oh,
that
yeah.
and I thought that's really interesting.
I would love to see him get underthrown here. That would be fantastic.
But he would be on the field, right? But
This is true.
I saw that as an interesting option as well. So there's going to be I feel there's going to be a lot of movement and in terms of deals around the league, but Eagles could definitely be in there with maybe a move or two, possibly getting some assets back.
And look, it's to me, it's the problem is that this team is not out of playoff contention yet, right? It's still the NFC East. Now, the Cowboys are a different tier this season. So as long as their stars stay healthy, they're going to run away with the NFC East, and it's not going to be the worst division in football. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys and then the worst division in football. But I think that they have to make some trades. I think they have to concede the season if they lose to Detroit on Sunday.
Yeah, blow it up.
Like I said, I'm not saying like blow it up, but if there's deals to be had for some of these guys, like we mentioned, you have to do it. It is what it is. You have to. You're not going to win with some of these guys. If you look down the line another 2 to 3 years, are they really going to be here? So
True.
That's another thing you have to look at. But
Get what you can get for them.
exactly.
Might as well.
Yeah, get what you can get for them. And with that, I think it's time to jump into our next segment, and it goes a little something like this.
It's time for the Eureka Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
I'm just waiting for that to say, who's your daddy? I'm sorry. Every time who's your lock? Who's your dad? That's what I'm waiting to hear. Johnny, would you like to explain the segment, sir?
So Eureka Locks are a segment where we each pick something that we think is going to happen. It's a definite. So with that, I don't have my sheet for last week, so hopefully you guys remembered what you picked.
I was wrong already as of Sunday morning.
Yeah, because you picked the Panthers, right?
I said mine was the double. I said if the Panthers win by a ton over the Giants, then Joe Judge will be fired.
Yes,
Instead,
right.
the Giants won.
I do
It's
remember
some kind of
because Mike got his 2 right because he picked
The Browns to win,
yes,
and I believe it was the Titans to beat the Chiefs. Yeah.
So you hit on both of those, and then mine was wrong because Deshaun Watson is not traded yet. So
No,
that's
he's
still-
not.
That's still in limbo. Whatever's going on with that. So
There's an agreement in principle, I believe, but they want this. I believe I saw something. Miami and them agreed to something in principle, but I think they want this all sorted out first. But it's this doesn't get sorted out that quick.
yeah.
So we'll see.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I was wrong. So now we go to this week. I'm going to start off with you, Mike. What is your Eureka lock of the week?
I can't pick any locks for the Eagles, man. I just can't because
They're too unpredictable.
my dad always says never bet the birds. So staying away from that. But I'm thinking that the Browns, Baker Mayfield comes back and beats the Steelers 31-17.
Okay.
All right, 31-17.
So I'm looking at these games, and I'm not feeling anything, right? I'm not nothing's jumping out and speaking to me. So I'm gonna go with just a no-brainer, right? The Bengals are gonna beat the Jets. I think that's obvious, but I'm gonna say the Bengals are gonna beat the Jets by 25.
No faith in Mike White.
Not even a little. Not even a little.
Write that down. I like that. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Dolphins. So that's kind of an easy. To me, I think it's a little bit easy because the Buffalo Bills are good. But I think Josh Allen is going to have at least 4 touchdowns and 300 yards passing.
I was gonna say 400, but okay.
So that's what I'm going to go. So it's destined to be wrong, but
It's destined to be wrong.
I just don't think Miami's defense is that good at all. So I feel
They're not.
like Buffalo can definitely put some points up on the board, and especially after the game they had 2 Mondays ago when they lost. So I feel like they're at that point after the bye week. They were on a bye last week, right? think I'm
Who's that?
the Bills.
Yes.
The Bills were on the bye week because I had to set.
So
I had to set my guys.
coming off a bye, so 304 TDs in a win.
Make sure you write down Adams because he will probably be there on Sunday, where the Eagles are going to give up over 100 yards rushing this week.
Easily.
Johnny, do you have our records and everything? I know we're not officially predicting the game right now, but do you have our records for our NFL picks so far this season?
We do. I do.
Okay, cool.
I'm looking at them right here. So in first place now, that Chip took over after going 11-2 last week. He is 75-32. You did go 11-2. I'm not mistaken. You didn't mess up on the spreadsheet or anything, right? You don't even remember. Okay.
I did not mess up on the spreadsheet. I put the spreadsheet in late, but I sent you guys picture proof so you knew what my picks were already.
Yeah, I didn't look at that. I just go back.
Oh, okay.
So if you didn't mess the spreadsheet, then you were good.
11-2, baby.
So you're in the lead. I finished at 7-6. I am in second place, 73-34. JB was 8-5. He is 70-37, and Jeff was 7-6. He's rounding out fourth place at 68-39. So there we are. There you do have a lead, a 2-game lead right now. So of course it's still early, but I think all our records are actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it actually.
So no, it's getting to the thick of things. But
right,
we'll make our predictions on Sunday when we do all that
so
stuff.
The rest of the week, we obviously have our regular slate of shows tomorrow being Across the Pitch, our Philadelphia Union soccer show. Friday is usually Birds, Beers, and BS. We got to make sure that Jeff is back from his Texas-sized vacation. And then Sunday, we're live at the West End at noon for a 1 o'clock kickoff. So make sure you are heading out to the West End in Quakertown. We have lots of great giveaways. It is Halloween, so you can always start off your sugar spree candy rush of a day with us up in sweet old Quakertown. And then, everything else that we do. So, again, make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing, all of those good things. Anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
I think the only thing is the news that we have to at least say that we have a new partner.
Yes, wait. Let me do this. Go.
Boom. So, fun thing that, we are now partnered as Funk Brewing. Funkbrewing.com. You can take a look at all their, great beers. They do have a Eagles beer that you can get. It is called Fly. So that's definitely something. I know Mike he did try that, so I know he can give you.
Very good. Very good.
These are the wires to my hedge trimmers. My hedge trimmers. I just or my weed whacker. I just didn't have anything else to hold up. So
you tried to find something, but we are now partnered with Funk Brewing. They are our official beer/brewery of AAT Sports Network and All About the Birds. So, we are partnered with them now. So, any questions you have, you can send it to us, but you'll be seeing more of them. You'll be seeing some giveaways. You'll be seeing a lot of stuff in the coming weeks and months with them. They have a lot of new products coming out. So it's a very fun new partnership that we have with them. So definitely check them out at funkbrewing.com. You won't be disappointed.
Nah. So yeah, we have Funk Brewing. We have Statement Games, fun free twist on fantasy sports. We have oddsjam.com. You can use the arbitrage calculator to not lose money. We have La Terrain luxury watches. Use the code AATBIRDS at checkout for 10% off. We have the AATsportsnetwork.com/shop. Johnny, did you get that new shirt up or no?
It will be up tomorrow.
It's a good one. It's a great one. I'm going to buy 4 of them. And finally, manscaped.com is partnered with AAT Birds. Hold on, gentlemen. Be prepared to quiver.
Your balls will thank you.
Use code AATBIRDS for 20% off and free shipping at checkout. And I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've used the word quiver on this network. So
it won't be the last.
And it should be the last one. So as we end, I'm Chip. That's Johnny. This is Mike. We are All About the Birds and AAT Sports Network. As we end every show here on the All About the Birds and AAT Sports Network, we end it with a very positive and happy Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Halloweeny.
Do you know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from a bite-sized candy bar to a king-size candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS. Have you ever tried to trim your balls and it turned into a Freddy Krueger film? Well, luckily, Manscaped is here to save the day and make sure you're smelling fresh with their new refined body wash. Fellas, the ladies love their signature scent, and it'll scare away those vampires. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They made it easy for you to upgrade your grooming routine. It's a full moon out, and the werewolf in your pants is howling. It's time to tackle that problem with the Lawnmower 4.0. Their finely tuned pube products feature a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is easily the greatest ball trimmer on the planet. Oh, did I mention this trimmer is waterproof too? This trimmer is a shower essential. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Vac, a total game-changer to your men's hygiene arsenal. Weed Whacker is a nose and ear hair trimmer that provides proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to make sure your pumpkins stay fresh. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. If you're looking like Wolverine and haven't cut your nails recently, be sure to check into the Shears 2.0 Nail Kit. They have a bunch of other life-changing products on their website, so be sure to check it out. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny. Manscaped.